Hey everybody, welcome back to another Flash recap and review. Today I'm talking about two episodes, Love is a Battlefield and A Girl Named Sue. If you have not seen either of these episodes, you can go watch them on cwtv.com and then come back here because I'm talking full spoilers. So I am probably going to talk more about A Girl Named Sue just because I think a lot more interesting things happened in that episode, but there are a few points I want to touch upon for Love is a Battlefield because I think it does set up a few interesting things for the rest of the season, but the overall episode was kind of weird. So let's get right into it. Love is a Battlefield. So this was the season's Valentine's Day episode, and yeah, it was really weird, especially coming off of the last episode, which was a really great episode for Iris, really great reporter stuff, and it set up something really crazy where she got pulled into the mirror. That cliffhanger was really well done, but when you see where it led, I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. So basically, this episode is about Amunet Black coming back and Goldface coming back. They are both competing to grab this flower that's in storage, and it only blooms once, I think, every 25 years is what they said. And with this flower, they'll have the ability to read minds, and that's a very useful ability to have for criminals. They can get bank information from people, ID numbers, all kinds of top secret stuff, find where people hide all of their treasures. This is very useful. Now, what they reveal in this episode also is that Goldface and Amunet Black were together at one point. Like, they had a relationship, and then something happened, and they blew up. Like, things just did not work out for them. And so this episode, you see Barry and Iris teaming up to try and catch these two and outsmart them. Because what's interesting is Amunet Black does know that Barry's a Flash, so she kind of blackmails him like, if I see the Flash, I'm going to tell everybody the truth. Which is interesting. I thought after Crisis maybe Oliver would have erased that part, but he didn't, which I think works in this case because that makes the stakes higher, right? So I can go with that. But what I think is really weird is just what happens between Amunet Black and Goldface. Like, things get really weird in this episode. But before we get to all the weird stuff with Amunet Black and Goldface, I do want to talk about Iris for a second. We saw that she was grabbed into the mirror before, and we can assume that something else came out in her place, which we can kind of pick up on here, and they don't really reveal it towards the end, which I thought was interesting. It's not drastically different than we usually know her to be. Like, it's generally kind of the same Iris, but you can tell there's something slightly off. And I think Candice Patton did really well with her performance here of kind of giving this slightly off version of Iris. It's really hard to explain. Like, there's something you could tell is not Iris, and Barry kind of catches on to it, but this fake Iris finds a way to throw him off, right? Like, he thinks that there's something off between them, that maybe they're out of sync, and so he can kind of sense that there's something different about her, but he can't put his finger on it. Of course, fake Iris tricks him, but also Joe, just being Joe, gives him advice like, oh, it's just a marriage thing, you know, you two are together, but you also kind of grow apart. It's like a tree. There's this whole tree metaphor, which is nice, but it kind of made Barry put his guard down, which is kind of bad because this is not his Iris, which he will eventually find out, but as of right now, he's basically falling for this girl's trap. When it comes to this Amunet Black and Goldface thing, so it's revealed that this flower gives them the ability to read minds, right? And they do whatever they need to do to make that happen. I'm not getting into the details. If you want to see that, you can watch the episode. But basically, they set off this chain reaction that causes the gas to come from the flower, that causes the mind-reading powers to happen, whatever. And so all the emotions between Amunet Black and Goldface are revealed. Like, they read each other's minds and figure out what the other person was feeling in the situation, why they broke up, and like all their true emotions come out, which I thought was okay. But then there's just this weird scene where I'm assuming either making out or having sex. I don't know what's happening, but the camera cuts away from them, and you see Barry and Iris sitting there watching these two go at it, whatever they're doing. And I thought that was extremely weird. Like, why did Barry and Iris just zoom away after that? Why didn't they just let them do whatever they have to do? Like, they just sat there and watched it and made weird faces. I thought that was kind of weird. But something interesting that someone pointed out on Twitter is that maybe the fake Iris is using the flower's abilities to read Barry's mind, so she would know what to do in order to trick him into thinking that she was a real Iris. I thought that was really smart, and I didn't pick up on that when I first watched it. But going back, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. So, again, they did set up some interesting things in this episode, but overall, it was just really weird. Another thing that happened in this episode was Allegra was trying to make amends with her ex-boyfriend with the help of Nash Wells and Frost. And that story was interesting. I mean, it's not the best, but it was, I think, a lot better than the Goldface stuff, the Goldface Amunet Black stuff. But what's interesting about this is, one, I think we find out that Nash Wells is, well, not is her dad, but the doppelganger of Allegra is his daughter, because Frost makes this comment like, oh, you're helping her, giving her advice. It's very father-like. And that's why I think they're kind of telling us, the audience, that yes, that was his daughter on another Earth, which then makes sense why he's so attached to her and so protective. Another thing that happens is that Nash Wells is now starting to see illusions of Harry Wells, which is formed from his guilt of basically killing off the rest of the Harrison Welleses in the multiverse. So that's something that I think we're going to see a lot more of, and we do see it in the next episode, but something that's going to continue throughout the season until maybe Nash Wells makes amends with it or forgives himself for everything that happened with the Crisis. So I think that is going to be an interesting story point. But everything else in this episode was weird. I wouldn't say it was... I'd say it's probably one of the lower end episodes of the season, but overall, especially with the next episode, I do like the direction that the season is going in. It's still way better than last season. So let's continue on. All right, A Girl Named Sue. Now, this episode was the official debut of Sudhir Bond, the girl that Ralph Dibny was hired to find by her parents. And we really get to see who she is, what she's doing, what kind of mess she's caught up in, and I thought her introduction was done really well. She really gives Ralph a run for his money immediately right off the bat. He finds her, and then her apartment blows up. And now they're on this mission to try and get this information. According to her, her ex-boyfriend is out to get her, and they're kind of doing this cat and mouse thing where now they're trying to get each other. Like, he's trying to kill her, but she's also trying to get dirt on him so she can prove what he's doing and she can come out of hiding and go back to her parents. Allegedly, because it does not go in the direction you think it does, but we'll get there. So Ralph decides to help her get this guy. He's like, all right, I'm going to help you with this, but you have to do things my way. As a hero, he's trying to do things the right way, the legal way. Well, not necessarily legal, but like the way that's honorable. Let's say that. He's trying to move with honor. And she's like, no, I want to just get this done however I want. She doesn't care who she hurts. She's just out to do what she needs to do and get out of there. So Ralph tries to get evidence on his own with the camera, but they catch him, they smash his camera, and it's a whole thing. Sue saves him. She can hold her own in a fight too, which I think is really interesting. So Ralph and Sue break into the guy's office, the ex-boyfriend, and they find this key that leads to a safe somewhere that's going to have the evidence that they're looking for. After the whole fiasco of Ralph getting caught, they get away, and he and Sue have a heart-to-heart. They kind of talk about their motivation. Sue really talks about what it was like for her growing up, being the rich girl, how she wants to be something different than that, and that's why she left in the first place and went off with this guy. And there's a really sweet moment, and you can kind of see this chemistry brewing between them. There's also a scene where they're in Jitters, and they run into Cecile, who uses her empath powers to figure out that they do have a connection, that they're almost like the same person, like they have the same energy, which I thought was interesting. They're hinting at the future of these two. If you read the comics, you know what's going to happen with them. I'm not going to spoil it if you don't know, but they are hinting at it in this episode. You see it kind of happening, seeing this chemistry brewing between them. Now, there's also a conflict because, again, Sue wants to do things her way. She doesn't care how she does things. She wants to just get it done, take this guy down, whatever. But Ralph's like, no, we have to do this the honorable way. We have to do this the right way. We can't get in trouble, blah, 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 because, again, he's the hero. And along the way, he does reveal to her that he is the elongated man. He saves her using his stretch powers. And you can see they're getting a lot closer. Now, fast forward, they get to the safe where this guy is allegedly holding his evidence, whatever. His ledger. Yeah, it was a ledger I think they were looking for. But it turns out she's just there to steal a diamond, and she turns the tables on him and locks him up in the safe with the box that they found the diamond in, whatever. And so she just pulls the rug out from under him, which I did not see coming. And I thought, oh, dang, is she going to be a villain then? Are they going to twist it? And so you see this whole scene where she tries to get away, but the guys find her because he has a silent alarm on his box, which is smart. And then Ralph escapes using his stretch powers. He goes up through the sprinkler, which was really funny. And then they have a fight scene. But then during that fight, Allegra's cousin comes in, beats up all of the people, and then tries to kill Ralph and Sue. But Sue gets away, and then Ralph is left to deal with Allegra's cousin. But then Barry comes and saves everybody, but she escapes. Now, I love that twist on it, and seeing Ralph getting really close to the girl, and then the tables turn on him. I thought that was an interesting twist, and I do think, and then fast forward again to the end of the episode, we see that Sue is actually using the diamond to track down Black Hole. It has their emblem in it. So she is connected to the Black Hole story, which I really like. And there's another part of this episode that connects to Black Hole. Like, they're doing a really great job of making Black Hole such a formidable villain, and seeing how they're so connected to everything in Central City. I'm really looking forward to see how this really wraps up towards the end of the season and how it all plays out. It really feels like season 1 where they were really building up on the Reverse Flash storyline. Next, we have the story of Iris and Ava McCulloch trapped in the mirror world. We can basically see that she's going to become the next Mirror Master, or at some point she does have the same mirror powers as him. Ava McCulloch was hit by the original particle accelerator explosion, and so she was trapped in the mirror once the wave hit her, and she hasn't been able to get out for 6 years. We can see she's really defeated by being trapped in this mirror world for like 6 years. Like, she's just given up. She has no hope. She says she's tried thousands of times to get out of the mirror, but she has no luck. And Iris is there like, no, we're gonna make it out. We've done this before. And she tries to like say that her friend was stuck in a mirror similar to that because of someone else that had powers like that. And basically, you know she's talking about Barry, but she can't say that because she doesn't want to give away that her husband is the Flash. But you do see that they are trying, like, Iris is still persistent. And at first, I was worried when she was stuck in the mirror world. I'm like, oh no, all this development has gone down the drain. She's not going to get her time to shine anymore. She's going to be trapped in the mirror world while the fake one is out there. But we still get to see some great Iris moments while she's in this mirror world. They try to do the nitrogen thing that they used for Barry when Scudder trapped him in the mirror, but it doesn't work. It actually shatters the mirror. Now, Ava McCulloch actually has the ability to control the mirror, which ends up being useful because they recreate the mirror, like put it back together. And I do think they are, in the next episode, going to figure out how to train her to use her powers, and she's going to just open the portal back to the real world. But you do see that Ava McCulloch is finally kind of getting the hope back that she lost being trapped there for 6 years. And I think that relationship with Iris is going to work out really well. And it still is a great development moment for Iris, even though she's trapped and away from everybody else. It's going to be really interesting when she gets back into the real world and has to face off against herself and Black Hole. I think that's going to be interesting. At the end of the episode, you see that Barry's sitting there reading his book, whatever, and then he looks at the mirror while she's looking at the mirror. And you can see they have this connection. Like, even though the real Iris is not there, Barry can still sense that something's off. Like, that's a symbol of how close they are, like the strength of their relationship. So I do think very soon he's going to figure out that he was right originally, that there is something wrong with the fake Iris, who, by the way, tried to get the mirror gun and did eventually get it. And I feel like he's going to use it for something like either to permanently lock away the mirror world or do something way worse. We'll figure that out. But that's also an interesting twist. Third story of this episode, Nash Wells. We see him trying to take Harry Wells' diary from the Star Archives. So I guess he's trying to figure out more about Harry, learn more about who he was, and I guess trying to figure out his emotions and why he's seeing this illusion of Harry Wells. I think that is going to be an interesting journey for Nash Wells. Again, his path to redemption after everything that happened in Crisis. And lastly, we see Joe is giving Barry a secret mission to try and figure out what happened with these house fires and accidents. And it turns out that is also connected to Black Hole. Barry finds that these things weren't accidents, and there's this big web. Like, I kind of imagine it like that gif of Charlie from Always Sunny in Philadelphia with the big board of strings and like everything's tying together. And so I do really like how they're tying in everything to Black Hole, who is now the big bad basically for the rest of the season. Of course, they're not going to get rid of these people in a few episodes. This is going to be a long-term thing. It may even go into next season. But in this case, I'm okay with it because they really are establishing them as a big, big force to be reckoned with. So I'm excited for where all this is going to go. I'm excited to see what happens with Sue and Ralph's relationship now that she's going after Black Hole, but she also double-crossed him. I'm excited to see Iris escape from the mirror world and deal with the fake version of herself, but also take on Black Hole. Barry's going to take on Black Hole. Joe, like, everybody's going to be in on it. I'm excited. So what did you think about these 2 episodes? Let me know down in the comments. Also, don't forget to like this video, share it, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.